What's up, everybody? It's Matt. I told y'all before that I was going to work on my video taking skills, so I upgraded my camera. I'm now rocking that iPhone 11, and I've got a mic. What? So maybe this will make things a little bit better. As you know, I stopped doing worm breeding because it was just too hot in the garage. I've been running 2 Vermibag systems. I've got that Vermibag there with Euros, that Vermibag there with Africans, and I've got my Vermibag Mammoth. I'm just going down to one bag, guys. Honestly, my garage is a mess, and I'm tired of it being a mess, and I want to clean it up. And once I retire from the Army, I will have my dedicated worm space, and this will be a little bit easier. So I'm going down to one bag, and my rack system right there will be nothing but bait worms. As I've said, that's the primary reason for me having worms. Getting rid of the house waste is great, and I can do that in the Vermibag Mammoth with no problem. But I need bait worms, and I need a bunch of them. So what I'm doing over the next 2 nights is I've got to harvest the Vermibag Mammoth. It's pretty full. I've got to harvest my 2 Vermibag minis, and then I've got to condense everything into the Vermibag Mammoth and break these guys down. So I'm shooting this little intro tonight. Tomorrow I'll shoot some video of me breaking these things down or harvesting some more, and then Wednesday, for Worm Wednesday, I will finish shooting this and show you guys the finished product. All right, I will be updating this, and stay tuned at the end because my official mic check is on there. And, you know, I think it's funny. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to give you all a quick update. I have already removed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working on the 6th tray of basically castings out of 1/2 of the Vermibag. And I've got to a point where you can kind of see, it's like an interesting cross-section of a Vermibag. So let me see if I can get the light down in here and let you guys see it. So that is what your Vermibag looks like on the inside if you could just take a cross section of it. To me, that's pretty neat. It's not something we often get to see. I've dumped a Vermibag before, but seeing it like this, still kind of put together, is kind of neat. So as you guys can see, everything in there is pretty well broken down. This bag has been neglected, it hasn't been fed properly, and it's kind of just sat. I'd throw some scraps in it, but remember I topped it off with all those leaves early in the year. That's what these worms have been eating on. Honestly, I'm not seeing a lot of worms. Now granted, I have fed the side you're not seeing for about a month now, like 3 or 4 times, trying to get all the worms pulled over to that side because I knew this was going to happen. So I didn't expect there to be a bunch of worms. I mean, there's a couple, but not many. And as I screen this off, I'll find some more. But check this out, guys. It just comes together and flakes right apart. This is not something I ever added moisture to. Is it as good of casting as I would have got had I maintained this thing properly? Probably not. But once I get this sifted off, extract the worms out of it, I'm going to have usable compost and, well, vermicompost and vermicast that I can put straight in my grass. That is amazing. There's another little guy. All right, y'all. I'll update you tomorrow. All right, I just finished sifting the 7 trays of material I pulled out of the Vermibag Mammoth. What I did was I rolled it through my trommel that I made using 1/4-inch screen. So after doing that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, Lowe's mortar trays full of vermicompost. I'm not calling it pure castings because I only sifted it through 1/4 of an inch, but I will call it vermicompost. Look at it. You can squeeze it together, holds together, and then just crumbles apart. March, April time frame, I filled the Mammoth there all the way to the top with leaves, and then I left it alone for like 7 weeks while I was out of town at Fort Knox for a school. And I mean, this is what it turned into. It took all summer, and it took feeding and watering, but I didn't really add much bedding to it. But it turned out to be some beautiful castings, guys. So that completes what I'm doing to the Vermibag Mammoth. I harvested half of it. You saw the videos of that. I just sifted all of this and got these castings. Tomorrow I'm gonna deal with this, and then tomorrow night I'll do the next phase of my consolidation, and I'll make sure I record it for you guys. So this concludes part 2 of the video. Part 3 will be tomorrow night. Have a good night, y'all. What's up, everybody? I am here to wrap up the crazy long Vermibag Mammoth video. So what I've got here, empty Vermibag Mini. What I've also got here, another empty Vermibag Mini. I've also emptied out my 3 totes. So right now, every worm that I have is right there in the Vermibag Mammoth. I don't know exactly how many are in there, so I'm going to do a little census, and this is how I think I'm going to do it. As you can see, the Mammoth is completely full of peat moss and everything that was in those other Vermibags. I mean, it's overflowing full. I'm going to have to do another harvest on it like this weekend just to get it under control. But what I'm doing now, since I'm feeding it, is I've got this cardboard box and I've put my weekly feeding in. It's got strawberries, corn, a couple apples, a cucumber. If you see this cucumber, how it's cut in half, so the worms can get inside of it easier. Everything has been frozen. This is an apple. I also cut a hunk out of it so the worms could get in it. So I've got that in this cardboard box, and I'm going to just rake some of this in there, cover it up so I don't get bugs. The cardboard box is very open on the bottom, so the worms can come in from the bottom. I'm going to mound this stuff up right up against it. So my theory is that the worms will move across the top and go down in here to feed, or they'll come up from the bottom to feed. And what that's going to let me do is, when I peel this back in 3 or 4 days, look at it and see what my worm population looks like. Everything in that box is frozen. So it's going to be a day or 2 before they get into it. It's fine. But look at that. That Vermibag is absolutely full all the way through. Before I can even put a cover on it, like a moisture barrier, I'm going to have to go through and harvest this. So that's actually on my agenda for this weekend, is to get a quick harvest done on this bag again to make some room on the top. Right now I can't even put bedding in this with this feeding I just gave it. That's why it's inside of that cardboard box. But we'll see how it goes. I'll shoot an update video this weekend to see if any worms have showed up in that food. But yeah, that's the end of that, guys. So I shut down 2 Vermibag minis, my 3 bins, consolidated everything into that 1 Vermibag Mammoth. What started all this was the heat. I had ordered 4 pounds of euros that came in, and the post office was supposed to hold them for pickup, and they didn't. Well, they arrived at my house, and by the time I got home to rescue them, they were a soupy, swampy mess, and it stunk so bad. So I got in touch with the seller. We made it right. He shipped another batch, and these the post office didn't hold again. But I got home maybe 10 minutes after the worms got here, but it didn't matter. More than 2 pounds of the 4 pounds was dead, and the rest of them seemed to die within a week. They were just super stressed out and didn't make it. So that was really when I just got frustrated with all this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run my Vermibag Mammoth and just get it going. And I'm going to do some research on how to grow out big bait worms and how to have a sustaining population without having to do a bunch of breeder trays or anything else, because I want this to be something everybody can duplicate. So yeah, I'm going to do some research and figure out the best way to go forward. And when I start that, I will keep you guys in the loop so you can kind of follow along with me and see if it's something that you want to do. If you guys have any suggestions or ideas, feel free to drop them down there in the comments. Remember, I want to use not African night crawlers. African night crawlers are my favorite composting worm. They are my least favorite fishing worm. They don't stay on a hook really well, and they tend to get real soft. I prefer European night crawlers. I haven't tried the Louisiana swamp worms, and I would love to try them if somebody could definitely tell me what a scientific name for Louisiana swamp worm is. So with that being said, guys, have a good night. Thank you for watching this super long video. Uh-oh, hold on. Say Worm Wednesday. All right, go to bed, buddy. Yeah, apparently the dog got into the trash, and Luke had to come tell me about it. But thanks for watching this super long video. Sorry there's not a lot of worm action shots, but honestly, I was in break it down mode. All those castings, I've got 6, 12, 16, 5 is 21. I got about 30 gallons of castings out of that Vermibag Mammoth, which is absolutely crazy, guys. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Roll Tide.